Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel for those of you who are returning. If you are new here, visiting for the first time, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm Anita with Anita by Design, and here on my YouTube channel, you will find step-by-step, very detailed sew-alongs, tutorials, pattern reviews, and other sewing-related content to help you with your projects. Today, I am introducing you, and I'm so excited about this, I'm introducing you to the new Baby Lock Euphoria Coverstitch machine. And I'm so excited because I've always wanted a dedicated cover stitch machine. So I have created a 4-part series for you. And I'm starting today with part 1, where I'm going to walk you through the entire machine, showing you all of the parts. Then in part 2, I'm going to show you all of the accessories that come with the sewing or with the cover stitch machine. In part 3, I'm going to show you how to thread the machine, and your mind is going to be blown with how easy it is to thread this machine. And then in part 4, I'm going to do some sewing on the machine so you can see how it operates. So let's jump right in and get started, and I'll show you all of the different parts of the machine. Well, here she is. This is Euphoria. First, I'm going to give you a full view of this beautiful machine, and then I will go in and show you all of the detail of the parts. But isn't she beautiful? Tell me she's not beautiful. Love her. I love her already, and I can't wait to show you guys everything. So let's take a look at the rest of the machine. Okay, directly under the front table is the stitch length selector dial. So whenever you want to make adjustments to your stitch length, this is the dial you will use. We also have a little hidden gem underneath the machine. When you pull this out, you get a little magnetic strip where you can store your sewing machine needles. So I thought that was pretty neat to have a little compartment for your needles. Okay, here we have our needle clamp, this metal part here, and that's what holds our needles in place. And up to the left, we have this lever, and this is the needle threader selector. So this is what we're going to use when we're selecting which needle we want to thread. This machine has an automatic threader, and it threads all 3 needles, which is, I'm telling you, this is an amazing feature. Over to the left, we have the needle threader lever. So what happens is we have C1, C2, and C3. That coincides with the 3 needles. So the left needle is C1, the center needle is C2, and the right needle is C3. So if I want to thread my left needle, I'm going to move the selector over to C1. I'm going to press down on the lever, and it's going to thread that left needle. Okay, when I want to thread the center needle, I'm going to move over to C2, and it threads the center needle. And then for the right needle, move it over to C3, boom. Game changer, I'm telling you. This makes threading the machine so much quicker and easy. So that's a nice feature. Now we're looking at the needle plate, and I want to show you that we have 2 seam guides. We have the seam guide here on the needle plate, and we have another seam guide over to the right of the needle plate. So to determine which line to use when you're first getting your machine, what I did is just use my seam guide to measure. So if I'm using my left needle and I want a 1/2 inch, or let's go with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I will align. First, I'm going to lower the needle down to the plate, and I'm going to align the edge of my seam guide centered with the left needle, and then there is my 1/4 inch mark. So this is going to be my seam guide line for 1/4 inch. So let's say I want a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Well, here is my 5/8 inch mark, and so this will be the seam guide for my 5/8 inch seam allowance. But what if I want a seam allowance larger than 5/8 of an inch? That's when we go over to this seam guide on the right side. So as you can see, from my left needle, the first line on the seam guide is 1 inch. If I want to use my center needle, then the first line on the seam guide is 7/8 of an inch. If I want to use my right needle, the first line on the seam gauge is 3/4 of an inch. So you would just measure whichever measurement or seam allowance you need based on the needle that you're going to be using. And then the 4 holes that you see on the front table, these are the attachment screw holes. So when you are attaching different accessories to your machine, you will use the screws that come with the machine to attach the accessories onto the front. There are 2 tension dials on the front of the Euphoria. This one on the right is the tension dial for the chain and cover looper, and the one on the left is the tension dial for the needle threads. So depending on the tension that you need based on the type of fabric that you need or you're using, you may need to make adjustments to the tension on the looper, and it goes from 0 to 5. And the same thing with the needle tension dial. It goes from a -3 to a +3. So if you need to loosen your needle thread, then you would turn the dial toward the negative numbers. And if you need to tighten it, you would turn it toward the positive numbers. To the right of the looper tension dial, we have the presser foot lever, and this is what we use to lift and lower our presser foot. Now you see these cutouts that we have on the front of the machine. These are the channels that we feed the thread through, the needle threads, when we're threading the machine. And then you can see down here below this little metal plate. So our thread feeds through there and then over through this little channel. And you'll see all of this when I show you how to thread the machine in another video. And then up top, you can see more of the channels that the threads go through during threading. We also have this opening on the front of the machine at the bottom, and this is where we insert our knee lifter. It's an accessory that comes with the machine, and it allows you to raise and lower your presser foot using your knee so that you can continue to use your hands while you're working. And this is the differential feed adjustment lever. And these numbers here are what you will use to make adjustments to the differential feed for your projects. So I'm going to open up the front of the machine so that we can get a look at what's inside. I'm going to get a little closer so you can have a better look. So this button here on the top, this is for threading our looper. This machine has air threading, and it is absolutely amazing. Threading the looper is just as easy as threading the needles. So when you enter your thread into this little hole, you press this button and it automatically threads the looper for you. Okay, then down below we have our lever for serging and threading. When we're threading our machine, we would just flip this lever down to threading, and then after we're done, we flip it right back up to serging so that we can start sewing. Now, down below, you have a guide that walks you through the steps of threading your machine. And although it's really easy to thread the machine, this is nice to have just in case you forget how to do that. Now I'm going to open up the front table, and you see here we have all of the working parts inside. Once I show you how to thread the machine, I'll show you what happens once the thread goes through the metal parts and shoots through here. So let's go over and open the left cover, and I want to show you where the thread ends up after it's been threaded. The looper thread, it ends up in this little compartment right here, and it's just awesome the way this machine, the air threading works. I just love it. So that's the front of the machine. Now let's take a look at the right side. Okay, now we're looking at the right side of the machine, and up top here you can see we have our handle for holding the machine. Let me tell you, this machine is very heavy, and this is a nice sturdy handle. So there we have our handle. And then here you have this metal part and then the cutouts. These are the parts that you will use when you're threading the looper. And then we have another magnetic strip for storing our sewing machine needles. And here you have a compartment for your accessories that came with the machine. So you can store as many as will fit inside that little compartment. And then down below, we have our hand wheel here, and you can see that it has the arrow pointing left or forward when the machine is facing you. And that is to let you know that you should always turn your hand wheel counterclockwise towards you. And then here we have this is where we will insert our power and foot pedal, the power source and the foot pedal. Of course, this is the on and off switch. And then down below, we have a little section where you can feed your cord, the cord for your machine. And then again, here is the differential feed knob and then the presser foot lever. Now we're looking at the back of the Euphoria, and here we have our 4 spool pins where we will insert our thread. And then we have our telescopic thread antenna, and that's where the threading process starts. Now we're looking at the left side of the Euphoria, and here we have the needle threading lever. So when you press it down, it locks into place until you lift it. And here we have the presser foot pressure dial. So if you need to change the pressure on the presser foot, depending on the type of or the thickness of the fabric that you're using, then this is the dial you will use. And here we have the thread cutter. So you would just feed your thread behind and bring it forward to cut the threads. Then moving down below, we have our, let me get closer. We have the presser foot that comes with the machine. And here in back of the presser foot holder, this is the presser foot holder. And in back of it is the presser foot release lever. And when you press this button or this lever, it will release the presser foot. So it's just that easy. And then when you want to replace the presser foot, you will just position the little pin on the presser foot with the groove on the presser foot holder, and then you would lower your presser foot lever on the right side of the machine. And it clicks right into place.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, make sure that you hit the like button down below and stay tuned for part 2 of the Euphoria Coverstitch series, where I will be showing you all of the accessories that come with the machine. But if you're already sold and you know that you want this machine in your life, then I'm leaving a link in the description box below this video where you can go and purchase your own Euphoria Coverstitch. And I want to give a huge shout out before I leave to my sponsor, Baby Lock. Thank you for sponsoring this video. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.